Welcome back. My name is Garrett Cole, and I'm the broker of Lakewood Real Estate Service out of Summersville, West Virginia. And in today's video, I just wanted to talk about why I love selling real estate in Central West Virginia. When it comes to real estate, we all know a realtor, and we all know everybody likes to show off their properties and what they have listed and what they have sold, which is all great. But I also wanted to give you just a little bit of backstory of why I actually got into this career, why I enjoy it, and why I opened my own brokerage in 2024, as you see in the video behind me. So first off, I'd always thought about real estate before. I actually had family members that were in the profession in other states and told me that, that they did well for themselves and basically how they ran their business to be successful. Of course, it's all being available when your customer calls, working for the customer's best interest at all times, and putting yourself out there to represent your clients as best as you possibly can. And so I thought about it for a while, actually finally took my agent exam back in 2020, and I've been in this ever since. Of course, over the last number of years now, I've seen a great number of different properties, such a variety of houses, and met so many different people. And that's really what made this career so enjoyable to me over all this time. So first off, of course, the most important part of a real estate transaction is the client. Without buyers, sellers, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting in this office right now talking to you through this content. I'm sure I'd be doing something much different than if it wasn't for the many great clients that we've worked with over the years. We have been on so many different journeys with people that it's not just you unlock the door, turn on the lights, and show a house and just hope they like it. Real estate is supposed to be so much more of that. It's supposed to be a relationship and understanding a person's true situation, helping them maybe reach out to professional services to get advice on taxes, banking, legal, things of that matter, so that they better situate themselves if they can't buy a property so that they could later on down the road. Real estate, I believe, was meant to be a long-term vision and a long-term relationship. And in doing that, we work with our clients, not just the ones that are, as they say, low hanging fruit that are convenient just to go sell a property and move on, but rather also work with those who need a little bit of help and guidance. And, we can refer them out to a number of different people in that particular profession, and they can select who they want to work with and hopefully work things out. And so, we've met so many great people, young families starting their lives, older people retiring and moving away to live closer to children, and everyone in between. It's really been interesting to me, all the different scenarios, statuses in life, and situations that I've come across working for my clients and helping them try to come up with the best situation, the best tactics, the best way to sell their home, so on and so forth, to help them move along through their life into the next phase of their life. And so, without our clients, we are nothing. And so for anyone that we've worked for in the past, we thank you. For anyone that might be willing to work with us in the future, we hope that we can, because we want to make this a lasting relationship where we work hard for our clients and bring the results that they're looking for. Also, another reason why I love selling real estate in West Virginia is because of the nature and the scenery. Real estate's not just showing 5 houses a day, go home and get up and do it again. Some days we're out on a side-by-side looking at raw land out in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone service, but a client might want to buy acreage to build a camp on, or buy hunting land, or just buy a place to go sit a camper and camp whenever they want to get out of the house. We might be that same afternoon, we might be in a $500,000 home or a $50,000 home, talking to that seller about what it would be like if we work with them, what we think their home is worth, what we think would be a good strategy to sell their home, and see if that might work. The next day, we might be showing clients homes in 3 different counties because they've just come to find West Virginia as an enjoyable place to potentially live, but they have no set community that they want to live in. And so, traveling around all these different areas, you get to see the rivers and the mountains and the fall foliage and the farms and just everything that makes West Virginia what it actually is, not just what national media and these wannabe reporters will tell you, that, we're poverty stricken. All we do is mine coal. We have no other jobs and we have a drug problem. All of those things are true. Nobody here at Lakewood or anybody in their right mind in central West Virginia is going to deny any of that. We do have a lot of problems, just like any other state in the country. But what everybody fails to recognize in West Virginia is what we have, not only in our people, but in our nature, in our scenery, and the beauty that is this part of West Virginia. And so I get to experience that every day. Hopefully through this content, we'll show that off even more, and you'll get to see why not only is it fun to sell real estate in central West Virginia, but the reasons that you and I enjoy living in this area, or for our buyers, why you really should consider living in this area. Another reason is the variety in homes. There's so much creativity. I mean, I've sold homes that were from the 1880s that were true 2-story log cabins, and how they have remodeled them over the years, all the way up to brand new builds in really nice communities, just like River's Edge Development in Mount Nebo. We sold a lot of lots of land. And since then, I've got to see our clients build new homes and add to the housing inventory of the local area. We have a little bit of a housing shortage, to say the least, but these people are taking on the task of finding that raw land, building out what they envision and want in a home, and making it their forever home, or perhaps even a vacation home. And so, you take all these properties that are turned into Airbnbs and remodeled from the 1880s, and then also just a brand new townhome in downtown Summersville or Oak Hill. We get to see so much variety that, it's always interesting. Nothing's ever the same. And it's always a little bit of a challenge to come up with values and so on and so forth. But that's what makes it enjoyable. This isn't just a standard clock in at 9, clock out at 5 job. A lot of people don't think it's a real career because we just kind of work whenever we're needed. But whenever you take into all the different factors, it really is interesting. It's a fast pace, and it really has been enjoyable to me over the last number of years. Even if I'm just driving by and seeing a pasture that used to have livestock in it, or you drive by a cattle farm, a horse farm, a sheep farm, just all the different agriculture that really built up this area in our history that's still alive today, and our small farmers and even large farmers that make up the fabric of agriculture in this local area. It's just, it's kind of a reminder of the simpler way of life, the more enjoyable way of life. I was raised on my grandfather's farm and got to experience that life, and I think every child should. But even if it's just getting to see it in action when you drive by every day, it just adds to the local feel of what West Virginia truly is. And so those are the main reasons that I love selling real estate in West Virginia. You could get into more of the contractual back and forth negotiations and all that kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, it's really the state as it is, the people that make up the state, and, what the people have done with the state. We have a long ways to go in so many things, but there are so many positive things about this state that nobody wants to talk about that I'm going to talk about, because I want people to understand what it truly is like living in this area and represent for our sellers what our area is becoming, and also talk about our past, because without your history, you don't know your future. And so that's just kind of like a real interesting part of real estate that we want to bring to the table through this content. I appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully you're getting some value, some entertainment out of it. And if you ever have any questions about real estate in the local area, by all means, reach out. Our dedicated staff at Lakewood Real Estate Service is here to work for you and to try to work through your real estate situation to get the goals that you want. But that being said, thank you for watching, and until next time.